Hey guys, welcome back to Tiny House Customs. I'm Dan. These videos are made for a beginner building a tiny house with helpful tips and tricks. This is part 2 of a 2-part video series. If you didn't catch part 1, the link's in the description below. In this video, I'll be installing floor joists and hangers. So the first thing I need to do is start measuring for my joists. The reason I'm measuring on the ends here is because there's no flex in where it's connected here. In the middle, the beam could be bowed a little bit. So 67 and 7/8. 7 and 7/8. 67 and 7/8. I refer to this corner as like my magic corner. All my numbers will always be pulled off of this corner. So I'm going to go 15 1/4 from here, or 15 1/4 from here. So if I'm doing, my walls are always going to be 15 1/4 from this corner, and same with that. When you're laying this out, you can just keep going 15 1/4. Now you know that the tape measure has all these marks at 16-inch increments. So I'm just going to go 3/4 less. So 31 1/4, 47 1/4. And I can go back, take my speed square, square them up. Now to make sure my joists are all running perfectly straight, I'm just going to sight down my main beam to see how straight it runs. So I'm just going to look at this point here and look at the other point on the other end and make sure that it runs reasonably straight, which it does. This side over here has a slight outward bow right where the first axle is, and then it kind of comes back in at the end. I'm not going to be able to fix that with anything. So how that end down there ended up being my magic corner will be the exact same as it is on the other end. So 15 1/4. To make sure my joists run perfectly straight down the length of the trailer, I'm going to square this across right here. I'm going to use a chalk line, which is just a rope with some chalk powder in it. I'm going to hook it onto that mark so that the line is running right across my mark here. I'm going to go and hold it on that end, and I'll snap the line. And we'll put a mark on the 3 center beams. So you can see it put a mark on the beam right here. Now from there, that's already set at my 16, so I'm going to just hold my tape measure on there, and I'm going to mark the 16s. After I mark the top across, I'm just going to use my square it across, and then I'll square it down on both sides so that I know my joists are standing perfectly vertical. I haven't placed my trailer on blocks yet, so it's not perfectly level. But at this stage, it doesn't need to be perfectly level, as long as it's reasonably flat. So I measured all my pieces, and I've got 2 sections that are approximately 45 inches, and then 157, 167. I got 10 10-footers, and I need to get all this material out of it. So if I cut 145 and 157 out of one piece, and then 145 and 167 out of another piece, it'll give me the pieces I need. And then I just got to do that 5 times. So I'll mark out 45 and 5/16, 67, 67 and 15/16. I'm going to check those pieces to make sure they fit. When you're making these cuts, you want to make sure you remember which side of that line you want to cut on, because when the saw blade cuts, it creates a kerf, and that kerf is removing a large amount of material. So if I were to cut on this side of the line, this piece would be short, so I want to make sure that I stay on that side of the line. So when I ripped these boards, I wanted the crown to be up, and a crown is when a tree grows, it's got a lean to it, and when they cut their boards, that lean ends up going into the boards, and so you end up with a curve in the board, and I want that crown up so that over time it'll lay flat and I'll be flat. I don't want the crown down, because then I'll end up with a bathtub in my house. So when I ripped them, I made sure the crown was up. I ripped the bottom, so the rip's down to the bottom. To me, if you're going to build a tiny house, you need a nail gun. Harbor Freight probably has the cheapest nail guns you can buy, and they're still outrageous. And a good nail gun's $300–400. If you can borrow someone's, rent one, I recommend it. Or you can always use a pneumatic palm nailer. Oh, that was in. Alright, like I said earlier, my rip from the table saw is going to be down, so I know my crown's up. So I've already squared down all my pieces on the sides here. So I'm just going to make sure this board is running good with that line, and it's on the correct side of that line. And I'm going to toenail it up. Now I'm going to add hangers after. So I want to make sure those nails are not sticking out too far. It's pretty. It's pretty nice. When you're nailing these, I recommend doing at least 2 on each side. If not 3. Flush on top, running square with the mark. Now that I got my nail gun hooked up, I want to make sure that I nail my ledger board into that inlay that I filled in there. I'm going to put 2 on each side of the joist, and I'm going to angle them in a little bit. This is the first of 40 hangers. First thing I like to do is, when you get a hanger, they tend to be bent outwards like that. I like to just take it and bend it in, so it's going to sit tight. Now those nails that I put in on each joist are going to be in the way. So I want to make sure that those are sitting in a little. The hangers are basically just a little overkill. They ain't gonna hurt anything though. I'm using galvanized 8D 1.5" nails for the hangers, and then once I get the hanger nailed in, I'm using spikes, just regular, non-galvanized. There's a nail right there. Sometimes when you're putting the hanger in, you can't get it tight. So what you do is you put the nail in right here. Now the bracket will be off the piece of wood, just like 1/8 of an inch. Put the nail in on an angle like that, and it'll drive it in on an angle, and it'll bring it tight into that corner. This is where a palm nailer, a pneumatic palm nailer, would be great. I just went and picked up a palm nailer. Figured I'll probably need it eventually, and it was only $40, so it's not too bad. Inside the palm nailer is a magnet, so it'll hold it right in there. Oh, did you just see that? Spikes. Did you just see that? That shit was great. That's money well spent right there. Sometimes you'll get a blowout right there, like I got that nail. That was from a toenail that I shot from this side. I'm just gonna take my chisel, put it right in the center there, and push it in. That way my hanger will sit in there. If you want up-to-date posts of my build, check out my Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram page at Tiny House Customs. I hope you enjoyed this video series. In my next video, I'll be going over my removable hitch assembly. If you're new to my channel and you want to follow my build, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I just dropped my camera, so blurry. That's why. Don't swear. So I'm going to go back and nail this up with a nail gun. And I'm going to nail the piss out of it. The piss out of it? I'm going to nail the shit out of it. Can I say shit? You're trying to be PG, so no. That is hack. You're a hack. Why'd you get 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Damn it. I bought too much.